have released about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, a brand new indicator, which is called MA Rush. And this indicator looks as follows. It draws these beautiful colors onto your TradingView chart. So currently this indicator is available for TradingView, but soon we will also make it available for other platforms such as NinjaTrader, MotiveWave, and others. So, and the cool thing about this indicator is it is an intelligent trend following indicator, which identifies strong trends by doing what we call multi-time frame analysis. And it's actually more than this. It is adaptive multi-time frame analysis, because depending on what is your current time frame, it will pick higher time frames intelligently, which should be considered to see if we are embarking perhaps in a strong downtrend or into a strong uptrend. And oftentimes it will give you a very powerful price move as a consequence. And this is where this name comes from, MA Rush, because it's like like a current which is rushing in the same direction. So this is, it's not to rush something to make something fast, but more like, things are coming together, a strong current emerges, and price will move in one direction or the other. And the indicator calls out these price moves by printing these either bear or bull labels onto the price chart. All right, and of course, in TradingView, you can set your alerts based on these signals, so you can be notified when the indicator senses that a strong price move will follow suit. We've also built in what we call a noise filter. So noise filter, the intent of the noise filter is to weed out flat price action, where price is ranging, it is sidebar, or it is bound to the upper and lower side, and it's not really going anywhere. So the indicator has this noise filter to weed out this price action and to only give you a signal if it senses that either a strong downtrend or a strong uptrend will follow suit immediately. Okay, this is what this noise filter is all about. What's also cool, we're going to have a live demo in just a second. What's also pretty cool is that it works out of the box right away. It has minimal parameters. In fact, I believe it only has 2 parameters, which you can use to fine tune it. One is to choose which moving average type should be used. So sometimes this is needed to make the chart a bit smoother and the entries a bit more clear. So this is one parameter. And the second one is that you can either enable or disable the noise filter. That's it. Only 2 parameters, so very easy to configure. That's not like our other indicators which have 10s or 20 of settings, and it's really hard to find the best ones. Here we only have 2 settings, so it's very easy to configure and use. And we also have something called momentum tracking, which is the essence of this indicator, because it picks up when momentum is about to break out and we have these strong price moves that follow suit. All right. And what you can also do, if you feel like it, you can use these lines printed on the chart as your trailing stop. As a strong price move starts, you can trail price action using these lines on the chart. And you have to choose to pick any of these lines. And these will work as your trailing stop. All right. So I think enough theory. It is time to perhaps give you a quick demo of how this indicator works. So for this, Nicholas, are you ready for a quick demo?
Yeah, sure thing.
Awesome. So okay. Hi, Nicholas. So I'm gonna give you the screen. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Perfect. So please go ahead. I'm also gonna hide myself so you can give Nicholas your full attention.
Perfect. Okay, please let me know, Daniel, if you see my TradingView.
Yep, I see it.
Window. Perfect. Okay, so here is the indicator on the chart. It's called MA Rush. And like Daniel said, the idea behind this indicator is that it looks at multiple higher time frames depending on the chart you're on, and then calculates kind of these smart adaptive moving averages that take into account information from multiple higher time frames. And we actually put a lot of time into finding an interesting take on moving averages that really incorporates higher time frame data that we haven't seen in other indicators. And the way this indicator works is basically it looks at uh, 4 higher time frames, and on each higher time frame, it's looking, depending on the relative size of that higher time frame compared to the current one, it looks at 3 different lookbacks of moving average on each of those 4 higher time frames. So it sounds kind of complicated, but essentially, 3 times 4, the indicator ends up looking at 12 unique and dynamically chosen moving averages, and then looks for a sort of confluence between them or agreement between them to come up with these determinations of what the trend sentiment is. And it's not like our other indicators where we'll have buy and sell signals. Instead, we have, like Daniel mentioned, those momentum alerts, which are bull and bear. So here we see I have a bull signal, a bear signal, and then a bull signal over here. And one interesting thing, or what I think the most useful thing about this indicator is that you're not going to get, it's based on the MA cross type of philosophy where you're looking for a swap in direction of momentum of some sort of moving averages. But with this indicator, the idea is you're getting a bird's eye view of the trend, and you're not going to get stopped out or faked out with terrible signals that are, crossing above each other, below each other, giving you conflicting signals in flat areas. And a good example of that is right here. So right now, by the way, I'm on the 1 minute chart, and you can tell looking at these moving averages that these moving averages don't really seem to be based on 1 minute data, and they're not. On the 1 minute chart or the 5 minute chart, they're actually going to be based on a combination of the 15 minute, 30 minutes, and I believe 45 minute or 1 hour time frames. So you're getting kind of a higher perspective, so you don't get that time frame tunnel vision where you're getting faked out on the shorter time frame you potentially day trade. A good example of that is right here. So we got this bear signal, and if you're using some sort of moving average or more momentum indicator on the 1 minute chart in this scenario, you're going to get stopped out right here, and maybe not relative to your trade, but your indicator is going to be giving you a bullish signal right here because, check this rapid increase in momentum. Most indicators are going to get faked out by this, and we see that doesn't happen here because we have that noise filter applied where the indicator is kind of smart enough to check, although we have this reversal or retracement in the short term, is this really being reflected on higher time frames? Is this actually a significant change in the trend from that perspective? So, you get a bear signal here, and it ignores some of the noise. And with this indicator, it's just like any other indicator to the extent with a momentum crossover indicator, to the extent that it's not going to be impervious to, and a lot of these signals look really good. So here, this worked out, all these signals so far worked out, but eventually, not every indicator is perfect. You're going to get something like this where the indicator notices a momentum change even on a higher time frame, and then it switches momentum change when the conditions change and price retraces back to that base support area here. But the big takeaway is this massive ignoring of noise in its trend analysis. And I think you can see that where it has these sweeping signals. Well, pardon me, find the chart I was just on. Yeah, these sweeping signals that really catch longer term trends than you're going to find with other tools meant to analyze trend like this or trend averages. So, even though we had some retracements up and down, this bear signal held out all the way to here. This bull signal was triggered all the way back there. So I think this is a really good indicator for day trading, especially. And it's good on all time frames, though, as I'll show in a second. And here's another example, a bear signal right here. Boom, it lasts all the way till down here. And when you get these conflicting up and down signals, like right here, bull, okay, we had a little bit of an up move here. You could have made some profits. But then we have a bear, bull, bear. Look at the difference in price between these. They're happening in extremely flat action. So the flat signals that you get here inevitably tend to get drowned out by then these sweeping signals that really take large chunks out of the price action and make a lot more sense. So right here, I'm on a 1 minute chart, and I'm about to, Daniel doesn't even know this, but Daniel mentioned there was a couple features, but I'm about to show you guys a feature we're going to be publishing today.
I like surprises.
Which we've had requests for, and I think is just such a great feature. So like or I've mentioned, this indicator adapts to the time frame you are on. So right now I'm on the 1 minute time frame. It's showing me these signals. It's looking at, let's say, the 5 minute the 15-minute, 30-minute, and 1 hour chart to help get this bird's eye view of trend. But if I swap over now to the 30-minute, it's not going to be looking at the 30-minute, 1 hour anymore. It's going to be looking at the 1 hour chart, the 4 hour chart, the daily chart to come up with its ideas of the overarching trend. So you can see these signals obviously have adapted. And they've not only adapted in that the calculations are different because the time frame's different, but the actual multiple time frames it's looking at from those higher charts is different as well. So that's why we say it's intelligent and it adapts. And the way we select those time frames based on the one you're on, we've done many hours of testing and back testing. This is also plays into our liquidity IQ indicator and our MTF fusion indicators, where we think we found a really good formula for finding these higher time frames depending on the ones you are on. And you can see, right here as well, these signals are looking pretty great. And none of this is repainted. So we get this question a lot with our multiple time frame indicators. There's no repainting in this indicator. So if you got this signal like right here or right here, at that point in time, look, there's not many settings to this indicator. There's MA calculation and apply noise filter. That's it. So if you left these default settings, these are the defaults on this 30-minute chart, and you got this signal, that would have been, or you would have got this signal back there on that bar. You would have got this signal. You would have got this one. So as it plays out historically is exactly how it's going to play out in real time, which I think is really nice because you can really go back and see, hey, does this make sense to me? Now, let's look at some of those settings. So we set the MA calculation method to volume weighted. So you might have an instrument you apply the indicator to and it breaks. If that happens, it's because the instrument you've applied it to doesn't have volume. Now, I think this is an extremely rare phenomenon. I'm not even sure which instruments don't have volume. Maybe Daniel has that off the top of his head. But if the indicator tells you, hey, there wasn't data or there was some error, that's probably because you're on some sort of odd instrument that doesn't have any volume data. So that's not going to apply to stocks or futures, most currencies, all this type of stuff, or Forex. So if that happens, just switch MA calculation method. And this is the main option here. And I'm going to talk about what you see here. So as you know, there's things like simple moving averages. There's also exponential moving averages, weighted moving averages, Hull, and volume weighted. These are just different methods of calculating average price, which then is used in the calculation for figuring out how momentum and trend is changing from the perspective of this indicator. And we leave it on volume weighted by default because we found that's the one that is really the most useful and reliable. And the reason for this is volume weighted averages are kind of like, you have volume weighted average price, the VWAP, super popular indicator, which gives you a good read on current price and how it's relating to kind of the average over a look back. Now, volume weighted moving averages in and of themselves are kind of like a noise filter because they are programmed to ignore moves that have less volume. So they're really going to focus on the ones that the moves or the bars that have lots of trading activity, and then these ones have a higher weight in the calculation of the average. So you can play around with this. Sometimes, depending on the chart, you're going to switch to, let's say, exponential, and the signals are going to be better. But most of the time, I think you're best sticking to volume weighted. So if I click on exponential here, we might get even better signals. They might be a little earlier, but sometimes you get a lot more of this noise type of action, like right here, because these types of moving averages aren't ignoring low volume bars. But it definitely gives different signal calculations. And on a lot of charts, a different moving average type is going to give even better signals. I found on some, Hull works extremely well, and so on and so forth. So it's really an art in that sense. And that's why we gave you the option to play around with that. And then finally, your noise filter. This is meant to get rid of a lot of these choppy signals. And when I turn it off, you're going to see a lot of little intermittent signals pop up. So once, boom. So look at all these. This is not good. That's why we have the noise filter, which is an awesome feature you don't see in most moving average or multi-time frame moving average indicators. So let me turn that back on and switch over to volume weighted. Now, the new feature that we're going to be releasing is the base reference time frame. So traditionally, or with the old version of the indicator, the current version, let me find our MA rush indicator in invite only scripts right here. And let me turn this off. So we're going to look at a comparison. So right now I'm on the Apple 5-minute chart, and here is the indicator as it is right now. It's finding these signals base these trend signals or trend and momentum waves. By the way, when Daniel was talking about how you can use these for trailing stops, you've got these 3 higher time frame merged moving averages or smart moving averages, and you can use these basically to just help you manage your trade. Of course, manage your, you potentially use them as a trailing stop or just a guide for when it might be possible that trend is reversing if you don't have some other method in place for your stop loss management. But so here's the old version. Now we're on the 5-minute. Now I know, because I've seen the code, that right now when we're on the 5-minute, this indicator is looking at probably the 15-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute, and 60 or 75-minute timeframes to determine the overarching trend. And you have no control over that. When you selected the 5-minute chart time frame, it selected that for you. It figured out, hey, we should be looking at the data from these higher time frames. But, oh, this was very nice trends right here. But the new feature we're adding in is the ability to simulate being on another time frame. So if we're on the 5-minute chart, we no longer have to expect the indicator to find those higher time frames just based on the 5-minute. And maybe you're on the 5-minute, you want to execute on the 5-minute, but you want to have longer term trends that you're trading off of. Well, now you can go on the 5-minute chart and then tell the indicator, I want the indicator to think that I'm on the 30-minute. So even though I'm on the 5-minute, I want to set my reference time frame to the 30-minute chart. And when I click the 30-minute, now look at how long term these trends are. It's now, the indicator, even though you're on the 5-minute chart, is now showing the logic from the indicator as though it was applied to the 30-minute. So these long-term multi-time frame trends, these sweeping moves you see here, are now based on, if it's on the 30 minutes, that's our reference time frame. These are based on the 1 hour, the 2 hour, 4 hour, and daily charts. So these are really long-term trends. You can see, the distance between these signals is often like a week or 2 or 3 weeks, even though we're on the 5-minute chart. And a lot of the time, if that fits your play style, like swing trading, these are really nice trends to see from those lower time frames. Let me find another example chart I had. Is it on Bitcoin? I think so. So here I'm on the 5-minute, and I'm not looking at much higher of a time frame. I'm just looking at the 15-minute as my reference. And you can see when you're looking at those higher time frames, it also gets better at ignoring intermittent noise. So here we got a bear signal. It's a little late, but it ignores this spike up over here as well. So here's another bear signal ignoring this spike. This bull signal carries out quite a while, even though there was noise. And yeah, you're getting these higher time frames, sweeping types of trends. And you can go even higher. For example, if I want to look at the 1 hour, and this is probably going to be really wild looking trends from the 5-minute. So right here, we had this flat bear trend, but then this bull signal was triggered all the way down in 37K. Now, wow, Bitcoin's going to be at 45,000 maybe today. And yeah, so I think this is going to be a super useful new feature. And we have it in some of our other indicators like Liquidity IQ. So I think it definitely merits being added into MA Rush.
Great. Thanks, Nicholas. Get a couple of questions that popped in. So let me just find them. Robert wants to know, how soon does it print the signal relative to the actual price? So I think this is in real time, Robert. So the signal will come up, and that's, it's based on how price action unfolds, but you'll see the signal coming in real time. There's no delay. So this even happens
right on the bar. Yeah. So right here,
bar.
Once this bar is closed and that signal stays, then it's not going to disappear. So you would have it right at the close of this bar.
Yeah. And Wayne is asking, how does this indicator relate to our Power Bundle 360 or Liquidity IQ indicators? So yeah, it's a new indicator that we came up with. You can use it in a very versatile fashion, either as a signal indicator, perhaps one way, but the other one, it can also be used very nicely as a filter indicator. Perhaps you have a trade in mind, and you want to make sure that you're trading along with the overarching trend. Well, then you can use this MA Rush indicator to see, okay, are we bullish? Are we bearish? What is the overarching trend to perhaps further filter your trades? So yeah, it's not related to all other indicators. It's brand new. It's based on new concepts, and you can use it in various ways. And If you want to relate it to liquidity IQ, perhaps one relation could be that also in liquidity IQ, this indicator does what we call multi-time frame analysis to find these entry signals.